up with the best of things, the nice cars and a big old house. Swimming pools and the finest schools we never had to do without. I always wondered where Daddy would go on his so-called business trips. Always imagining flying on planes and riding on big old ships. After Daddy passed away, sorted things out in the basement, in the house. A big locked box with the biggest surprise. Something we all found out. Something we found out we didn't know. Places that he got to go. I wondered why he never was around. Why he was always gone. Daddy was a rodeo clown. Go from town to town. Reno, Tulsa, Houston, Vegas.
Hey, it's Rick here. Well, this summer I bought myself a heater, one of these used little oil-filled heaters at a garage sale, and I asked the guy if it worked, and he said, oh yeah, she works. So I brought it home and kind of cleaned it up a little bit. You can't hardly tell it, but you should have seen it before I cleaned it up. And I fired her up out there, and I wanted to use this to heat up my area out there where I dry my gourds and keep my paint and stuff in the winter. Anyway, so I flipped her on, and this was the switch that was in it. So, you know, I flipped her on. Actually, I put it on the medium setting there, which is 600 watts, because it's just a little small area. So, anyway, so I put her on, and I was out there in the garage, the other part of the garage, and I began to smell wires burning. And I opened up the door, and magically this little switch had let all the smoke out of them wires. You know, them wires are all full of smoke, and if something malfunctions, then that smoke all comes out of there. And anyway, no, I think it probably had some corrosion under this terminal, and it just actually got too hot and it just melted it off. It arced just like an arc welder. But anyway, so I bought me a switch. So that's the old one. And after 4 different vendors, some of them on eBay, and I'm not sure where else, but you know, I used the old interwebs there, and every time I'd order the switch that looked like this, which is this brand that's on here, well, I don't know where it's on here someplace. Yeah, Defond, D-E-F-O-N-D. Why, they'd say, oh yeah, we got one of them, and they'd take my money, and then about 3 or 4 hours later, I'd get an email and say, oh, that switch is no longer available. Well, actually, what it would say is that we don't know when we would be getting it. The switch is available, but it has to come from China. And since we don't know how long it would take, so they would refund my money. And anyway, the 4th time I did that, same thing happened. They sent me an email back saying we can't get that switch right now because, you know, it's probably in a container someplace being held, you know, through the trade wars or whatever's going on. So anyway, and I just made that part up. So, but anyway, so. But the company said, hey, there's another distributor called Zoken, Z-O-K-E-N, that makes a switch identical to it. It just, as far as functionality and amperage wise, but it looks different. So, whoops, probably won't work now that I dropped it on the floor. But so anyway, I bought that, and I thought we'd tear this thing apart and see if we can get this new switch installed in there, and so we can use our new used Lakewood oil-filled radiator. Alright, show you more. Okay, well, let's see what we can do here. I've had this apart once to take that switch out, so the screw shouldn't be in there too tight. Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. We did. I'm very thankful this year, actually, for a lot of things. A lot of things have been crazy. Lost some good friends over all this baloney that's been going on with the COVID. But, you know, there's a season for everything. Okay. Let's see if we can pop this off of here. And then it will come off because I've had it off. Alright, there we go. So there's what it looks like on the inside. You can see it's got the elements down there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but got the elements, and I'm going to ohm those out. But what happened was it burnt this wire clear off, which is the one that was attached to the top here. And then, and by the way, I tried to get online and get a wiring schematic, and I finally found a website I could get one, but it was going to cost me $12. And I'm like, are you kidding me, to get a downloaded PDF? That's ridiculous. So I figured I could probably figure this all out. So obviously this is the thermostat. Okay, so that's what this is, and that's appears to be on the ground side of the element down there. So anyway, I think we can figure this out, because this is the hot wire that comes in off the switch, and this side, so that either you have the 600 watt or the 900 watt element down there. So anyway, so I think that one will go here, this one will go here, and I don't know where these babies will go, but I'd say we'll be able to figure it out. So alright, show you more. Okay, it looks like what we've got here. If you look real close, this factory switch that I couldn't get actually has this is where the hot wire comes in, or the positive coming from the power plant. We've talked about this before. This is my version of how this works. So instead of having a jumper from here to here so that both sides of this switch are hot to control both elements, they've got this little jumper built into it. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try to let it focus. This new switch, however, does not have that little jumper across there. See right there, that little jumper? This one doesn't have that. So instead of one wire plugging on here, we've got to make a jumper. So what I'm going to do is take one of our little terminals here, like something like this, and I will make a jumper wire that goes from this one over to this one, and then when we put one of these on, we'll hook the wire that burnt off here on, and then that when it activates this side of the switch, it will also power this side of the switch through a jumper. And that's the same thing that's going on down here on the neutral side, or the ground side. It just has one that was hooked here, and then it has a jumper across. So we will do the same thing down here. We'll take the terminal off, because the terminal that goes here is still good, so we'll take that one off, and we'll build a jumper wire between this one over, and we'll loop it over or whatever, and then tie it in with this one, and then we'll have that. Then this is the when you look at the switch, then you've got hot and you've got ground, and the ground actually loops then through the thermostat. So if you turn the thermostat up, it activates the ground, lets the power flow through here, through the switch, down to the element, and back out through this and out to the power plant. So so that's kind of how that works. So what we're going to do is, and then these two terminals, well, these were real corroded too, so I'm going to clean all that up on the terminals that are actually still on the wires on the unit. I'll clean those all up. But we're going to have to go, I'm going to have to go out and round up some wire that's heavy enough, and then we'll make these jumper pieces, and I'll show you more. Okay, well, I got this new switch snapped in here, and it just snaps right in. You can see the little indentations there. So, alright, so again, what we want to do is we're going to jump. This is the down here where the ground or the neutral goes through. So we're going to stick this wire in here along with this little jumper wire that I made, and then we'll stick that like this, kind of like that, and then this one will go in here as well, and then we'll do the same thing with this one up here and jumper one up there. So let's show you how these crimps, how this crimps on here like this. I'm going to pull this back off of here. And these terminals are tight, and you want that tight, because what happens is when their corrosion gets in this area, it starts to arc. And that's why before I put this back together, I'm going to clean these terminals up on this neutral side as well. So, alright, so we're going to take this wire and we're going to strip this back just a little bit. And I could probably solder these. I've got the capability to do that, but I don't think it's that big a deal, so I'm not going to solder it. So, okay, so whoops. So we've got that wire pulled up through there like that, and this blue one is a little smaller inside the terminal. I might be able to get a red one, but I doubt it. They make these in about 3 or 4 colors. There's a red one. Yeah, that one's tight enough. I could probably use a red, actually. So I'll put that up there. The wire's just up through it, and then it's got these little things on here. Red and blue go up here, and yellow and so forth. So we're going to put that up here, and we're going to squeeze that, and then we're going to bring it down here. I always squeeze it about twice. That crimps that terminal on there good. Now this other one over here, the yellow one, we've got to put 2 wires. That's why the yellow is obviously bigger. The red is the smallest one, then the blue, and then the yellow. So I don't know if we can get 2 wires under the blue, so we're going to see here, because by the time you put this up here like this, and I'm going to kind of twist these together a little, I don't think the blue one's going to go on there. No, it's, yeah, well, you know what? I believe maybe it did. Yeah, it came right up through there. So the yellow would have been too big. So, alright. So let's crimp that one, and that uses the same one as the red. So we're going to crimp that down. And we're going to crimp that down good and tight. Next, pull on it and make sure nothing's going to come out of there. Okay. So now we're going to loop this. Doesn't really matter which side it goes on. And again, we're making this loop ourselves, because if you remember, the other switch had it built in. Okay, so there we go. So now our ground, our power is going to come through here, and once the switch is turned on, then it will flow through the switch out here, out through the element, come back from the element through here, through the thermostat, and then back out to the power plant. So, alright, I'll finish this up and I'll show you more. Okay. Alright, so we know this is the ground, so we're going to put the neutral, or however you want to call it. So we're going to put that on here. And I don't remember which side is which on this. Just going by the way it was plugged in before. Oops. Come on back over here. I'm just going to assume that this is pretty dirty, so I think we need to clean that a little. That terminal is a little bit corroded. So let's clean that up. But what I started to say was looking at the switch. I think that probably it is the 600 watt side. So we're going to plug that in on this terminal here. Oh, and it's very loose, so let's tighten that up a little bit. We don't need it arcing any. And I'm just taking these and just barely tightening this up because I don't want to break this, but I want it to be snug. And we'll put that on that terminal right there. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay. There it goes. It's nice and tight now, I'll guarantee you that. And now let's put the other side on here. Okay. So now we'll button this back up. Just like that. See if we can get a screw in here. Let me get the rest of the screws in and then I'll show you more. Okay, well, there ain't no better time to try it than just see if it works or not. It'll either let the smoke back out again or it'll work, one of the two. Okay, so got it plugged in and should be able to just flip one on and turn that thermostat up a little bit and let's see if it gets warm. It'll take a minute or two. Alright, show you more. Okay, well, it's warming right up. You can hear the oil in there gurgling around on it like they do, and so sounds like it's going to work, and I haven't seen any smoke come out yet, so, and no breakers tripped. And what do you guys think, huh? Got the help in here. Alright. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming along with us today, and we try to fix things around here, not throw them away. And I believe that we got this working again. I think I paid $3 for that at the yard sale. The switch cost me $16, which is a lot. So, you know, but one of these new, this one isn't not new either, but this one is the one we use in the house. And they're probably $50-60 bucks. A good one is, so I've got it a little bit cheaper. And what do you think, Gunner? Well, he's not going to say much. Okay. Well, anyway, I appreciate you coming along and watching us tonight, or today, whenever you're watching us. And we will be back again soon. Be sure and subscribe and hit that like button, and we'll show you more. Bye. Run, Tallulah, run!
Hi, baby.